Welcome to the Friendly Geordies podcast presents Shawarma FM. How are you doing, miss?
Bloody grand. How are you, my friend?
Wearing your Viking uniform?
My Viking fucking uniform.
This uniform brings terror to mainland Europeans.
This uniform brings terror to Grecian grime.
Unfortunately, that is the case. All right, let's start with our first segment because we've got a very busy podcast. Okay, this is the biggest story. There was a poll that was recently conducted, miss, and it showed a huge surge for One Nation's popularity.
Damn.
To the point where, like, it's now equal to the coalition.
What?
Yep.
Are you serious?
I am serious. There are a few caveats which we can discuss into this, but
okay, I did not know that.
New story.
Jesus.
The caveats are, one, apparently the participants were only 1,000, so it's a small sample.
That doesn't mean shit.
Secondly, Jordan told me this. I don't know if it's true. If this happens to be wrong, crucify him. Yeah. He said it's an online poll, which again is different. But either way, one thing that you cannot discount is that One Nation's popularity is bloody well surging.
Jesus, that's crazy.
What's your views and thoughts? Do you want to tell us how you have now come into the immigration process?
Oh, yeah.
What happened today with you?
So today, I rocked up to this house for this, like, job or whatever, and there was this nearly 90-year-old woman. God bless her. She seemed nice, and she had, like, 2 fake legs and a fake arm and like a fake heart or something, like just barely holding
just
on.
An android.
Yeah, android. Living in like, I don't know, a $1 trillion home or something. And I think it was the first time I ever experienced, I swear to God, I think it's the first time I've ever experienced like what might be considered racism, because she was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Oh, Miss Love." And then she was just like, "Where's that from?" And I'm like, "Oh, Croatia. It's Croatian." And she was like, "Everyone's bloody Croatian these days."
How do you feel on 2 levels? One, experiencing a racist episode. Secondly, also experiencing a racist episode, which is so unfounded. Not everyone, like the whole population is 7 million in the world.
Exactly.
Like, so it's impossible for everyone to be Croatian.
It's statistically false.
I know, but it doesn't matter.
It's like what? It kind of confused me. I was like, yeah, because at first I thought she meant like there's just a lot of Croat. And
did she also say like there's a replacement theory where Croats are going to take over Australia? No.
I think that was implied. But she just it was just a kind of throwaway comment. And then like I was like, I didn't really think anything of it. And then like my mate after was like, "Hey, like bloody racist," and I'm like, yeah, shit. I guess, shit, man. I'm going to start rocking up to some, like, Greens rallies, huh? Just like, no racism in Australia or some shit.
Tough times, man.
Never,
Aren't you pissed off? Like, how am I a high risk for melanonin and also experiencing racism? I thought those 2 things can't go hand in hand. Like,
exactly.
I am, like, white enough that I have cancer and I'm also experiencing racism.
Yeah, like, what is this what 2026 is now?
I'm giving you the Irish treatment.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm Irish and dogs now. I'm like getting that. And yeah, if you get skin cancer from your skin being so white, how can you be racist again? So like, I guess that's what happens in working class jobs too. It's just kind of like, it's like, yep, you're fair game.
Okay, what offended you more? One, that she was racist, or but the fact that a trillionaire was very casually racist towards you?
I mean,
and you had no other alternative except to talk to some other guy who also happens to be a racist to be like, it's getting crazy these days, mate.
That's a shit fight. The whole thing's a shit fight. So bad. But it's just like, I'm like, what the hell is going? Everyone's Croatian. Like, it's a wild call. It's a wild call.
We'll bring it back.
Yeah.
Hopefully this one experience should not change your view.
It's not gonna rock. Well, maybe it has. Maybe.
So what do you think about One Nation's popularity? How do you feel about that? Do you think there's like...
I'm surprised and not surprised. Do you know what I mean?
Why are you surprised, One,
I'm surprised because, well, on the ground, practical, real world level, I didn't think that would happen. Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised because in a theoretical, sort of like vibe culture thing, it seems not surprising because it seems, there'd be like a pushback on like I guess there's an equation which is not really fair, to like, you know, lump in a whole group of people because of the terrorist attack or whatever, I suppose, and then just being like, it's getting and then just relegating that to a migration issue. I understand why it might happen, but I didn't think it would. Do you know what I mean? So it's equal parts, but I think is that more sort of relegated to Queensland and like is it surely the numbers are growing in like regional areas? Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think
I don't think Sydney's going to turn.
I mean, it could in a future scenario, but I'm guessing most of this water base is regional. But man, like I think there's a few things. First of all, it would be an uphill battle for One Nation for several reasons. One,
what does it mean for them practically? Like, if you're
what it means is this is a once in a generational opportunity for them.
Yeah. So
they need to do this. They need to do everything right.
But they can't actually get in power because they're preferential voting and
exactly. So
they're in the Senate, aren't they?
That's why it's an uphill. That's also another reason. I think one of the interesting is they actually don't have a prime minister candidate.
No.
But I think they can fix that. So clearly, obviously, Barnaby Joyce would be their candidate. It'd be dumb to get anyone else. I mean, Pauline Hanson does command respect, but I think Barnaby, because he was the deputy prime minister and stuff, he'll probably be the best candidate. They'll have to make him switch to the lower house for him to be considered in the prime minister job. But you're right. The thing is, like, you can't compare it to the US because the US has like a two-party system.
Yeah.
Where all the parties on the right will have to congregate under the Republican banner, which in Australia doesn't have to be the case because you can have minor parties running for elections. That's one problem that One Nation would face. The second thing is, again, preference voting.
Yeah.
But what they can't... Okay, there is one scenario where One Nation could win a few seats. And that is if all the people that vote One Nation... First of all, hypothetically, you'd have to say that this poll that has happened is actually representative of the Australian population, which is difficult to say.
Yeah.
Most likely that's not the case.
Yeah.
But let's assume that is the actual reality. Then in that case, everyone that votes for One Nation will have to put preferences to minor parties first. So like One Nation, two whatever, Shooters and Fisher Party. And as long as they keep the two major parties, all their voters will keep them at the bottom.
Right.
They actually have a chance of winning.
Really? If they put him in
because they can congregate all the preference votes together.
Right. If they put him in government.
So if all of the One Nation voters not only put One Nation at one, but they make sure that 2, 3, 4 are all little minor parties that can never win. So they can congregate all of their votes, put it in their basket, and then the coalition votes can come to them as well, preferences.
Right.
But they would need to be like really organized.
Yeah.
We might talk about this on the upload with Jordan, but Jordan was saying, which makes sense. He was like, look, man, it's one, first of all, he doesn't believe this poll at all. But secondly, he was also saying that like, it's one thing to be like popular because he was saying this is essentially a protest vote. But it's a whole another thing to win an election. He was saying that you need like an organized party. You need campaigning at grassroots level. This requires a whole infrastructure with One Nation does not have at the moment.
Right.
So they'll have to develop it, which is really hard. And so they have to do everything right.
Right.
For this to work out for them.
Right.
And what I've also noticed is that if you look at France, which is... not the American system. So they have their minor parties and they have this weird election. And what's happened is that Le Pen, even though the French far right was probably the strongest in Europe and was one of the first countries where you could argue that, the Le Pen government, like party might take over, but it still hasn't been able to win because what happens is that even if you get like the far right as the largest voting bloc, at least in Europe, all the other minor parties get together as a protest vote to them and never let their candidate come and become the prime minister.
Right. Okay. So it really is a case of like banding all these little players together to try to take on the Goliath.
And because then their thing becomes, which works well in Europe, is like, we're keeping fascism at bay.
Yeah,
so
right.
then like all of a sudden, like I'm a communist and you're like a center right. We hated each other from the beginning, but both of us are in agreement. Okay, we might hate each other, but do you want the fascists to come in?
Right.
And so everyone gets together.
Gotcha.
Which is not necessarily great for the country because it's put essentially France in like a deadlock.
But this isn't
for the
happening
last decade.
Really?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
This is happening in Australia yet, but I'm saying like if I can imagine like one nation, if the popularity just continues to grow and they become huge, we can perhaps see a similar dynamic here.
Right.
So what I'm saying is like irrespective, it's a really uphill task for one nation. And secondly, after looking at this, I did like sort of, I was like, I'm going to look at One Nation's policy platform.
It's just the libs,
what
right?
What are we exactly talking about?
Isn't it like I was the way it was explained to me is like it's the libs with like also being like halt all immigration now or something.
Well, it's not that.
It's not.
Actually, I looked at if you go on One Nation's website,
They have the policies.
they're immigrant. They have all of their policies. They're very basic two-line policies, but they do have them.
Yeah,
and they have one on immigration as well. And I looked at it and I was like, okay, so this is the things that they want to do. Limit on their website, right?
Yeah.
Limit immigration to 135,000 people a year.
Okay.
Right? Which seems fairly reasonable.
Yeah. That's not that crazy.
No. That's why I'm telling you this. They want to essentially do the Trump thing, put a ban on countries that they believe are causing terrorism, essentially Muslim countries or whatever, right? That's the implication.
Yeah.
And she wants to like make sure that once you get permanent residency, you have to wait like 8-9 years or something before you're considered for citizenship.
Jesus, okay.
Right, so these are her policy platforms.
Right.
And I was looking at it like, look, one can imagine worse scenarios,
Yeah.
However, I look at like every video of hers and the comments are all like
insane.
Dude, it's like it's too far. We need mass deportations now. So what I'm saying is like, so maybe your policy platform is something that you can
institute,
bear, but like, dude, it's gonna have
rhetoric.
the Trump. It's not even rhetoric.
What?
Like if she does get into power, which seems unlikely, but if that happens, then her base is gonna force her even more right.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is what's happening with Trump as well. Remember, he came in for like to get rid of cartels.
Yeah,
and now he's like shooting dykes in the face.
Yeah, it's so intense. Like it's so intense. Like, I mean, but there are sus. I mean, I think. She's visited Trump's ball, one of his balls or whatever, and like has had meetings with the NRA and shit. And it's like
she has Gina Reinhardt.
Connection. Exactly. So that's the one thing that is the biggest worry I feel about her is.
Oh yeah.
Is just being like college number one, and like she would just do full Trump, like in terms of
absolutely,
which is
the same thing. Like Trump,
why do they always go hand in hand?
Trump is has been taken over by the energy and the military industrial complex.
Yeah,
I'd imagine a similar thing.
But why does that always happen
with Pauline?
But what is that phenomenon?
Because like all of these deep state people and these lobbies that normally pressurize governments that get resistance. Yeah, look at these like novices who don't have a lot of experience or don't. They might have political experience, but they don't actually have the experience of being in power and understanding how advice works and how to make the right decision. So they see an opportunity as like, okay, well, this can be our person. All of that agenda that we weren't able to pass through because consecutive labor and liberal governments were like not for it. For example, like, opening up certain mines that might cause environmental catastrophe. Right? When
Adani and whatnot.
When the lobby starts telling both liberal and labor, because they've dealt with this for so long, they're like, okay, these people are crazy and they're going to want us to do all of this, but like we need to make sure that it doesn't. Someone like Pauline would be like, yeah, fine. It helps the business, right? So they see an incredible opportunity in someone like her.
Yeah, right. It's just strange to me that every time, I understand what you're saying, but it's still as strange. It's just saying like, power corrupts or something, or like it's not a good thing. Like it's just weird to me that someone can be like, I want to reduce. They can't be like, I want to reduce immigration. I want to.
But by the way,
and then also
all major parties are saying that.
No, I know
and
that
doing it to some
No, I know that, but it's just weird to me that there is never that situation where it's like, reduce integration and ramp up renewables and ramp up investment. It just never happens. It's just I don't know why that correlation exists, but I don't know. It's strange to me. It's strange. Don't you know what I mean? Like, I suppose generally, I'm sure that generally people that vote certain ways or that are like reduce immigration, they're just like, it's textbook stuff of like coal's good, renewables are bad. It's just like this. It's like you take the pill and like toe that whole party line, but like, why? It just doesn't make sense. Like, can't you just be like, you're allowed to, you're allowed to want to like fix infrastructure and reduce immigration or questions about vetting or about even stuff like citizenship or something. And you're allowed to also simultaneously support like, what's Labor's initiative, the whatever it's called, Future Australia or whatever it is, and like renewables and green tech. It's like, why are these things mutually exclusive?
That's gonna go on the back burner.
I don't get it,
man. Look, okay, so
I get it, but it's dumb. It's so dumb.
But I suspect this is what would happen. Yeah. So you don't have to worry too much about this. I suspect that like in the run up to the election, obviously One Nation is going to have a much larger base than it had before. Yeah. I don't think they'll be able to come into power.
I don't think it's possible.
It's possible, but I think it's very hard. So they probably won't be able to come into power. I think part of the reason why they're getting this renewed support is, yes, there's a protest vote. There's also like the Bondi thing. But it's also because Coalition lost their last election so badly that a lot of people that were supporting Coalition just think of Coalition as not a winning horse. And they suspect that maybe One Nation will be able to get it.
Right.
Which they will probably realize that that's not the case either.
Yeah.
So I suspect that in the next election, One Nation gets a larger share but still doesn't come into power. Coalition doesn't come into power and Labour comes back in. Yeah. And once that happens, then all of the people that had moved to One Nation are going to move back. Most of the people will move back towards the Coalition. And the Coalition will get rid of Susan Lee as their leader, saying
and they'll shift.
Ruin it.
They'll get more of an Abbott or something.
And then Hastie will come in, who, by the way, has already prepping his anti-immigration platform.
Yeah, right.
So I think the election after will be a threat.
Because these things move. Also, I assume that like their popularity will influence both parties in their decision making. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
like they'll probably look at that and be like, well, this is sort of the pulse of, this is a trend, and like, you know what I'm saying?
I think what both parties will do in the run up to the election, both Labour and Coalition, maybe, contrary to what they've been doing all this time, I think they will be encouraging their voters to make sure that you put One Nation last.
Right.
So and Coalition will agree to that as well, because Coalition sees One Nation as a cannibal threat, right?
Yeah.
And Labour obviously sees them as an opposition.
Yeah.
So they both have an incentive to make sure that One Nation doesn't come up.
Yeah, right.
So Coalition will try to convince their voters that don't put One Nation second preference.
Right. They'll kind of band together as well.
I think they might informally band together to keep One Nation at bay.
I mean, it's interesting too, because like you look at, what is it, UKIP or whatever? Are they like, people are like, they're going to win the next election?
Man, they're a much more potent force than One Nation. First of all, they have a very charismatic leader. One Nation doesn't have a leader for prime minister at the moment. They have 2 senators who can't be prime minister.
Yeah.
Nigel Farage is a figurehead that people can rally around.
Yeah. But again, if you look at Nigel, if you look at their policies on deregulating banks, private like enterprise,
it's a shit show. Yeah,
it's just like Thatcherism again. So it's like, that's not. I think it's been decided that that's bad policy. It's just obvious. Like,
no, Britain is in a self-destructive mode. Where, and unfortunately for them, even their outside influence are telling them, you suck, i.e. JD Vance, just saying like,
you suck.
You suck.
Yeah.
Everything about you is like, but they are like, Brexit was also a symptom of like, sometimes.
I think it's,
I think what happens is that sometimes societies can see that something is not working.
Yeah.
And the society is going down, but they're coming up with like wrong remedies for it.
Yeah. At least in terms of like social programs and like
but also like straight up economic policy as well.
That's what I mean.
You know, like it's not just the social. A lot of the attention goes towards like immigration. But what about like those boring bureaucratic economic decisions that
so
those countries are taking?
And that's so important. It's like it
has nothing to do with the Polish population. It's like,
no,
are you incentivizing your capitalists in the right way? That is
Do you want to fund the NHS properly,
or not? Do you want to fund, but like how? What is the plan for funding this?
I just don't think that like trickle down economics is gonna be the solution, you know. Which is, I think England is basically like at this point now where it's in like the hangover of like trickle down economics from like Thatcher, and it was and they just but now it's like this like techno feudalism thing, and it's like. It's just like, we'll just keep doing this. But it's like, it's clearly not working when like a pizza's $50 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and wages stagnate. So it's all very disillusioning for me. Like, can't there be some sort of green anti-immigration party?
Green anti-immigration party?
Is that not a thing?
It wasn't like the Greens OG that?
Yeah, OG with like Bob Brown and shit.
Yeah,
but that's changed.
Obviously, yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, look, if these trends continue,
all right, let's do the second segment. K-Rud has decided to step down.
He decided?
Yeah, Albo came out and he said that this is his own decision.
Oh, interesting.
I think he might have just been bored of it.
It wasn't that a bad meeting? Whatever, that he got paid out.
I think that would have contributed, but I think it's mostly him just being like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, I think he's probably realized he's like...
He also got like offered Asia Society's president or something, which, I mean, it's not like, you know...
Asia Society.
He would have gotten it had he not become the ambassador either, because he was part of Asia Society before. But I love his new job, because his new job is just like him sitting in front of YouTube in a very formal setting. And
no way.
Like, global politics have shifted in such a manner that international law has gone to the side burner, and this is going to be my thesis for this talk.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what he does.
That's pretty good because he's doing it publicly, so we can get the information as opposed to behind closed
and
doors.
I bet you, K-Dog is going to come out and he's going to give some real good tidbits about his time with Trump.
You reckon?
He's going to casually like, well, I can't go into too many details about this, but in my meeting with President Trump, he made it absolutely clear that he's aware of the lobby pressures.
Yeah.
He knows it.
Yeah.
But, so he's going to give you like inside goss.
All I can say is that the chips were very salty. Extra salt from the McDonald's chips that he made me eat, if you catch my drift. A lot of I don't know, like some weird intel.
Yeah. And I also found out he's actually a robot. I don't know. Well, it could be anything.
Trump is what I like to call a Chinaphobe.
But he was like, I don't know, if I'm Kevin Rudd, it's too much annoyance for me to like listen to Andrew Bolt say how much I suck. Like
every week.
Yeah, every week. And I was like, oh, just go be a nerd.
Yeah.
In like, you know, some high-rise tower in Shanghai.
That's a pretty cushy.
Get paid like, you know, a good amount of money.
That's a pretty cushy job.
Yeah. K-Dog, you don't need to do this.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose like career politician. He's still doing it, right?
He's done. How you can't top prime minister.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But look,
I think he just got bored before and he wanted to be in action again, and now
you reckon he got bored though?
Man, when you have been
that's a pretty prestigious position, right?
Well, ambassador or prime minister?
Ambassador.
Yeah, it's a prestigious. No. I'm saying like so after he stopped being the prime minister and he was just working as like an intellectual for Asia Society, I think there might have been a part of him that was missing the action, and he would have liked the idea of becoming ambassador.
Right.
But now that he's, again, experienced it for 2 years, he's like, yeah, I can go back to being a nerd again.
True. But he live in Asia?
I think he can live wherever he wants, but he'd probably travel to Asia heaps.
Yeah, look.
Asia Society is just a think tank. Actually, I think it's based in Singapore, but I'm going to check.
I mean, look, he's a smart guy. I want to read his book. You know the one on China?
Yeah, The Avoidable War.
The Avoidable War. Have you read it?
Yeah. Well, I read like a synopsis or like a summary of it.
Is it good?
Yeah, man. K-Dog is an intelligent man.
I mean, it's also interesting. It's an interesting title, like The Avoidable War, as to sort of like World War III, when it's happening or something.
Oh, Asia Society's headquarters is in New York.
So he'll just stay there.
He'll spend a fair bit of time in New York.
Do you reckon he has a house there?
I don't know.
Who knows?
But it seems like, rich
Probably
people
not.
have houses everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so anything else about K-Dog?
You've done well, mate. Now relax and...
Did you, by the way, see, just as a side note, did you see that video with Alex Jones and Marco Rubio?
No. He was on Alex Jones's show.
No.
Oh.
Alex Jones is I
haven't tapped into Alex Jones
just harassing him. So Marco Rubio's doing a press conference.
Recently?
Yeah, recently.
Okay.
And Alex Jones is like next to him and just like, Marco Rubio, you're a snake bite. He's a snake bite. You're trying to deplatform me. You're trying to deplatform me. So he's screaming like heckling, but he's sitting right next to him. And like at one point he holds Marco Rubio's shoulder and Marco Rubio says like, who are you? And he said, you don't know who I am? InfoWars, bigger than Rush Limbaugh. You know who I am. You tried to deplatform me.
Shit.
And then like he calls him snake bite. He goes, you're a snake bite. You're a snake bite.
Okay.
Bathhouses. You're going to bathhouses. Compromised bathhouses.
What the hell?
And then he starts screaming, the Democrats are raping Republicans. What are you doing about it? What are you doing about it?
Oh, my God.
It was kind of cringe, actually.
What would be his take on Venezuela? There's no way he could be into that. There's no way he could be into that.
Conspiracy.
No, but like
Venezuela is an evil place. There's no doubt about that. The regime is doing horrible things. However, this is an operation by the elites to make sure that Venezuela becomes even more of a problem.
That's what I mean. Like he's very anti. Like Trump is behaving just like the Bushes now, crazier even.
Yeah.
So like because Alex Jones's whole thing was like no wars. He hated Iraq. I think his whole thing is 9/11's an inside job too, but like he hates those things. So there's no way. I wouldn't be surprised now if he's just like crying, being like, Trump's dead. They've taken over.
Yeah, he's been saying that for a while.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has been compromised.
Really? You reckon?
I love him. I love him more than anyone else.
Yeah. So have you been watching it?
Some here and there, whatever stuff.
I've got to tap back in because it's like, I don't dude. When I log into censored.tv or whatever his site is, it's not a chill time, that's not a chill experience. Like it's like very intense, even though sometimes I'd fall asleep to it. It's like, God, it's just so intense. So like I'll check out what he's saying about it, because if he somehow is being like Venezuela is a very good thing, I'd be like, what?
Nah, he's not saying that.
I wonder, even Greenland, he's like, this is more proxy wars and more like lobby wars and more, deep state, whatever that means. Surely, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's his entire shtick. He was doing that before anyone else.
I suppose he's kind of... Has he become kind of redundant because he's kind of peaked?
I don't know the answer to that. A lot of the comments under the video were saying that like, Alex Jones is trying to find relevant.
Right.
But I have no idea what his numbers are.
Yeah, I don't either. I haven't kept up because he does owe a lot of money from that lawsuit, I think.
Yeah, and plus, like, dude, if you're not going to be on YouTube and all the major, platforms,
it's harder, way harder.
You can't be that big anyway. So
exactly.
like, I'm not.
It does restrict your ability because you're just not. You don't get the eyeballs. Like I haven't thought about him since you just said that. Because he's not. Yeah, because he's not on there.
But I wouldn't be surprised if he's doing well for himself, even outside of it.
I think he put his business in like his dad's name.
Yeah, his assets.
But like, would that stave off the debt collectors?
It depends how he's done it.
Yeah, he must be stressed. I don't know. I do not know that guy.
The man's always stressed.
He's very stressed. I still don't think he's like a bad guy though. You know what they think? You know what has been told, that like what he said on the Joe Rogan podcast? He said that like, because his parents were political and into politics, but he said he was like dropped on his head once by bullies in high school, And like everyone said, he was never the same after that. He became like
he got better.
His brain, superpower.
He became super.
Like his brain, like he became like more like paranoid and hyper obsessed with politics and conspiratorial.
He called out like all that Epstein stuff way before anyone.
Dude, he's not a dumb guy.
Yeah.
Like a lot of what he says is true, but like a lot is not true. So it's kind of, I don't know what the percentage would be, but like, you know, some of the frogs were gay.
Yeah. And did Donald Trump also get dropped?
Huh?
Did Donald Trump also get dropped, or was it? That
would explain so much more. Did you watch the Donald Trump movie that we told you?
You know what I was thinking about Donald Trump. Sometimes when I look at his stuff, I'm just like, dude,
he's so old now.
It's just like if one of your friends became the president.
100%.
You know, like it's
100%.
just, Miss Love, if you became the president, that's exactly the sort of shit you'd be doing. Like just high on power, you'd be like, fuck it. That's what one of your friends would do.
I wouldn't do that. I hope, but like I know what you mean. It's just like anyone. Yeah, like shooting from the hip.
I've got the baddest military, you know.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever I want.
Like I can do it.
Yeah, it just makes so much sense.
I'm hoping that like, this is just a bit of a side step, but I'm hoping that like whenever his time is over, you know, sometimes you have to push the boundaries just to know where they are, and then you go, like you're standing on a cliff and you're like, let's see how far I can go, and then you're like, oh, I nearly fell off, and you're like, okay, I'm coming back, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm hoping that his presidency will be the thing where like America will be like, after that they'll be like, this is too much.
Well, I think even Trump has a conundrum implicit. So I think I mentioned this. I was reading the White House security paper.
Yeah.
There's a paper that comes out every year that outlines what the White House's view on foreign policy is. It sort of goes through different regions and what their core interests are, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
One interesting that you read in it is, and it sort of informs Donald Trump's policy a lot, is that he says stuff like President Trump wants to be muscular but not hawkish, moral but not a dove. It has all of this. What it was implying is that President Trump, the last thing that man wants is a forever war, right?
Okay.
But he's much more willing to showcase American power, which means he's willing to like rain bombs from the sky. But when it comes to actually going in to a country, he is not so keen on that, which sort of also tells you, on one hand, he kidnaps Maduro, but on the other hand, which is what would have been the old American playbook, installing a puppet regime, he's like good enough to recognize that might not work.
Right.
And even with the Iran stuff, if you ask him about like the Shah of Iran, you know, that dude who lives in LA, he says like, he doesn't have the popularity.
Oh, so the king. Yeah.
So he acknowledges it, like, and he openly says it. He doesn't have the. You know, normally everyone has to pretend that he is the most popular person. But Trump will. So there's a level of pragmatism. So what I'm trying to say is that like, there's a window in which he plays. Yeah. So even with Iran, you could see, for example, in the future, he starts throwing some missiles, hitting like key facilities, or he even puts like a no fly zone over Iran, or he could even put like an embargo, which is like
but you don't think he would do like full scale invasion?
He doesn't want to do it, and I think it's difficult to say if he'll do it or not, because sometimes you're forced to do certain things. But in his frame of mind, in his policy, that's the last thing he wants. Yeah. So now, if he does put a no-fly zone and Iran decides that they're going to start attacking military bases in the Middle East, U.S. military bases, then he's going to have to go in. So he's going to be out of his comfort zone.
Well, we should talk about Iran, because from what I hear, they've killed a lot of people.
Who has?
Iran, the government. 100 more?
I don't know about the numbers, but like I think the last estimate I read is the Western media is reporting maybe 1,000 people or 500 people.
Shit.
Yeah, but like we don't know what the numbers are.
I mean,
but it is true that there have been like smuggled footages of like people that are died in
these
hospital pictures were taken to identify them and ask their families to pick up the body. So there is a certain level of killing. And I was watching an Iranian journalist. He was in Farsi speaking. So this is what he was saying, because I don't know what's happening on the ground, right? And no one should pretend to know. He was saying that what happens is that on the first few days of protest, he's saying there are protests of people coming out and protesting against the cost of living and inflation, and essentially the real has just nosedived, you know?
Yeah.
They are going through like a lot of economic pressures.
Yeah.
And he was saying that about, he obviously doesn't know the exact numbers, but they were in the thousands. He was saying maybe even 30,000 people, 50,000 people.
What?
This was in Tehran. He was saying that they came out and were protesting. But he says what happens is, again, I don't know if we can fully trust this man, but like I would prefer someone on the ground a lot more than like just, you know, BBC.
Yeah.
He was saying that what happens, and the regime doesn't really like mess with them too much.
Right.
According to him. But then like once after dark, in the AMs, he's saying then there's a different kind of protest that happens. These people, there's people that come out.
Yeah.
And what they do is like, maybe they'll burn some flags, and it's like a bunch of, he would translate as hoodlums or someone.
Right.
And he's saying they might be like a few hundred or 1,000, but they come out and they start burning stuff, blah, blah. And this all happens when most of Iranians are like in their home, because it's like 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And he's saying that the authorities and them have like a showdown.
Right.
And they fight each other.
Yeah.
And a lot of them get killed.
Yeah.
And he's saying that the killings are on both sides, where like authorities are also getting killed and these people are also getting killed. And he's saying that once it's sunrise, these forces, whatever, it doesn't happen. And then like the protesters come out, and some of them are like, there's protests happening all over, and they're doing it for different reasons.
Right.
Some of them are doing it to overthrow the regime, calling for the Shah. Some of them are doing it, they're like, we're protesting against the economic conditions, but we don't like the imperialism.
Yeah.
Where like America's forcing this upon us. They look at that and go like, we do want the regime to change, but not in this way. And then there are pro-government protesters as well, which the Iranian media is claiming. So there's like, and they're saying, again, I don't know about the numbers, but they're saying they're in the millions.
Right.
Who are coming out and who are saying like, we also exist. So a lot of stuff is happening. And, but yes, there is a big group within Iran that are protesting against the government as well and want to overthrow them.
But didn't Trump say if they start killing, we're going to like hit them very hard? Like they're going to like, I mean. Yeah.
So hitting them, okay, man, this is my view again. I might be wrong. I think he would have to hit them really hard. I don't think the regime is just going to go like this. There is like but
this was all kind of orchestrated, right? We were talking about this last time.
Yeah, it is. It is. But like the objectives that you want to achieve from it, which is a popular regime uprising and they change the regime, I think this is not enough for it. So you have to up the ante. Right. And you would have to take it to a much, much higher level. Yeah. Because yes, there are big groups within Iran that oppose the government. Iran has one of the most, amongst the Muslim world, maybe I would say Turkey and certainly Iran, are the two countries that actually have a sizable community that is pro-secularism, against Islamic fundamentalism, very westernized in their ways. So Iran definitely has that community. But I believe that they're not the majority in Iran. And even if they were the majority in Iran, I think the conditions under which this regime change is happening, because you've got to think of it from Iranian perspective as well. They're not oblivious to the fact that this is being forced upon through foreign interference.
Yeah, right.
So even the ones that would be sympathetic of a new order in Iran, I don't think would be sympathetic in doing it under these conditions.
I see. Yeah. Oh God, it's so.
And yes,
crazy.
the economy is going through some serious troubles.
But is that unavoidable? Kind of. Like
for whom?
For the government
of
Iran.
Well, that's a big question. I have been opposed to Iranian government's policy from the get-go.
Right.
So I think the condition that they're currently in has to do with a lot of their revolutionary policies that they've been following.
Oh, yeah, because they're like a theocracy, right?
Yeah, they are a theocracy, which is another reason. Again, I don't like theocracies, but getting rid of the Islamic regime is going to be really hard. For one, it's almost a religious regime in some sense. They believe that this is this is like the bastion for Shia Islam.
Yeah.
right? And honestly, they look at Ayatollah as the Pope.
Yeah.
Shia Muslims don't look at him as a leader. They look at him as the Pope.
Yeah.
So under this context, there's a lot of, so when US or Israel or whatever, whoever attacks Iran, there's a lot of nationalist sentiment that comes along with it.
Yeah.
And so I think I think the only way that America can actually conduct a regime change on Israel, you would have to like go to war with them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think that's the only way to do it.
And what do you think will happen? I mean, Israel.
Initially, America will get a huge amount of success because obviously Iran can't compete with the American military might. But I think this war would drag on. And then once it becomes an insurgency, then I think America will be at back foot. But initially, they will get a lot of success. Because, like, American military is an overmatch for Iran. Even Israeli military is an overmatch. For one, all Iran has is a bunch of medium range and long range missiles.
Yeah.
Which aren't really, is not a winning strategy against Iran in a conventional war sense. But when it gets into insurgency and guerrilla warfare, which would happen if you got boots on the ground, then I think it levels out for both sides. In fact, I think Iran, like these guerrilla movement, but while they're doing that, they can install a regime.
Yeah.
Like America comes in, pounds the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And then like brings in some forces. Yeah, that gives you enough room to set up a new regime. But how stable that regime will be in the long run, I don't know.
Yeah, I just can't help but think back to when Trump was just like, no more wars. Like when he was running on that. I think
he still believes it. He doesn't want to send the last thing on earth in Trump's head. He doesn't want to send boots into Iran because he recognizes it's full of. He's been mentioning it forever, but I think after a certain point, like if Iran decides, okay, whatever pressure that Israel and Trump put on Iran, if Iran decides, okay, there's no more room for us to wiggle out of this, and we're going to start attacking U.S. military bases. Once that happens, then no president has the power to be like, oh, I'm not going to attack. Then you're in it. You can fire the first bullet, but like the last bullet, you might not be in your control.
Okay, fine. But like, look, Iran aside, Venezuela was crazy, right? And he legitimately was like, we want the oil.
Yeah.
That's also insane.
Yeah, but Venezuela is like easier to do than Iran.
I know, but like, it's almost more crazy to me. I know you listed all those points throughout history where that's happened before.
Yeah.
But it's like to be so brazenly open about the reason now and not backing it with like much information. It was just kind of like, I spoke to the oil companies. We want their oil. It's like, it's just weird. It is like one of my mates is running the country. It's like, we need oil. They have oil. So we're going to take it. It's like, what? You need like, I think I'm just kind of getting a bit, what's the word? Desensitized to unintelligent conversation in the American government.
Hey, do you know
there's no nuance anymore.
Do you know what's one interesting thing that's happening? So, Iran has shut down internet, right?
Okay.
Throughout the country. And it's been blocked since then.
No more stick death.
Because they don't want people to organize for protests over the internet.
Right.
And so what the U.S. tried to do to counteract that is they got Elon to, move Starlink.
Oh, yeah.
So that Iranians can access internet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like a satellite.
Yeah, but what Iranians are doing which also should give some understanding for the West that they're not as easy as Lindsey Graham might think they are. They're apparently using Chinese jammers to block Starlink as well.
So is China like backing Iran?
Yeah, of course. I mean, they won't back them in the sense of like, look, no one wants to get involved in the Middle East, let alone, so neither does China. They'll support Iran in terms of military hardware. They'll support them. Even like Trump is now claiming that he's going to put 25% tariff on anyone that does business with them. Chinese are probably one of the few people that will successfully circumvent that. Other countries would be scared and maybe not do it. So Chinese will try to like keep them up. But they won't if America decides that they're going to bomb them or they're going to send their military in, China is not going to come in to help them.
Yeah. But they've been blocking Starlink. Has it worked?
Well, we don't know exactly, but that is one of the theories. Right. One theory is I don't know exactly how accessible Starlink, which is a really expensive service, is for, regular Iranians. Yeah. You might have to be some urban Tehrani to be able to access Starlink and figure all of that stuff out. For most people, it's going to be hard. But the reports are suggesting that Iranians are using jammers, which means that they're more capable than what people assume them to be.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Again, not saying that they're capable enough to take on US by any means. But
yeah. You know what's interesting though? When I went to the Persian mafia, aka my skin cancer guy and dentist, they're just all. He said it. The dentist, because he was just he said something like "perfecto," and I was like, "Are you Italian?" He's like, "No. I am Persian." And he was like, "This whole building, Persian mafia." I was like, "That's hilarious." But I was like, I hope, do you have family over there? It's crazy what's going on. And he was like, "No, it's all good. I don't have family there." Or maybe he said he did, but he was like, hopefully, he just said, hopefully, this terrible government leaves because it's been a long time coming and Iran will get its freedom. That's what he said. Yeah. So it's I wonder, it's such a convoluted thing because it's not black and white at all. Mm-hmm. But
what about that isn't black and white? He truly wants the regime to be gone.
Well,
In fact, most of
what?
Actually, this is one thing. This will be one question. You will be able to tell if this guy is pro Khomeini or anti Khomeini.
Yeah.
If he says I'm Persian, he is anti Khomeini, wants the regime out.
Yeah, he said Persian.
If he says I'm Iranian, he is pro regime.
Totally. Because it used to be Persia. No, I know that, but what I mean is it's not black and white. Is a war, a government sort of, and I'm not saying they're good, but a government sort of strangleholded by Israel, backed by America in a plan to destabilize the government, drop the dollar, inflation rises, people get angry, they revolt. That's why it's not black and white. So if I said to him, well, I kind of would, he was cleaning my teeth, but it would have been interesting to be do you think the circumstances on which this sort of revolution is happening, as much as you might agree with it, do you think it's nefarious? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'd be curious what he said. He might be like, no,
No, he would say it's not nefarious.
That's what I mean.
He's saying the people are... Man, and if, honestly speaking, if I was Irani, I would be on his position. I wouldn't want the Islamic regime either.
Sure.
But I think they're taking...
The circumstances at which...
Yeah.
This wouldn't have happened, right? Otherwise... If there was an intervention.
You can sort of hit it both ways.
Yeah.
Yes, it wouldn't have happened if Israel and Trump weren't putting this kind of pressure on Iran.
Yeah.
But also, it wouldn't have happened if the regime wasn't creating this axis of resistance around and trying to not only fuck with Israel, but also Arab countries who are petrified of this Shia movement. So you can hit it from all angles, is what I'm saying.
So do you think what Israel is sort of somewhat justified in doing it?
No, I don't think they're justified because at the end of the day, sovereignty, I don't believe Russia is justified in taking over Ukraine. I don't believe America is justified in taking over Venezuela because at the end of the day, people in those countries need to decide how they want, and it's not up to us. So that is 100% true.
Yeah.
But, wait, what was your question?
Just saying I'm just saying it's complicated. My question was do you think it's justified? Is Iran
it's
just evil?
Is Iran just...
Yeah, are they being...
Okay, that's a very complicated question. And I don't like to talk about this in this context because of the sovereignty issue. However, there are some serious problems with Iran.
Right.
And primarily, and I can, if I want to narrow it down into a single thing, is that Iran is not a...
Democracy.
Is not, definitely isn't, but there are many countries that aren't democracy. That in itself doesn't make me apprehensive. But most countries, overwhelming majority of countries, act based on their national interest, right?
Yeah.
What they believe, which is something that you can work around.
Yeah.
But if your decisions and policy are based on some kind of revolutionary fervor, which is that you want to see a new order in the world, that's a red flag in itself. And that's going to get you into problems. So for Iran, it wasn't just like, okay, we've taken over and we're going to make this an Islamic Shia regime, but it was like, no, this is a new agenda that we have. So we're going to have allies in Iran. We're going to have allies in Lebanon, and we're going to fund them, which not only is going to scare Israel because it's against them, but it's also going to scare all of the Arab countries.
Right.
So you see, they're disrupting the equilibrium. And just the idea that, like, think about it this way. Iran is a Shia Muslim country that is antagonist towards Sunnis, however, has dedicated the last 40 years of its foreign policy defending Palestine.
Yeah.
Now, one could argue if you're a Palestinian, what noble, but on one hand, you could argue what a ridiculous policy that is.
Right.
No normal country would do that. I mean, if you ask all of the Muslim countries that exist, they're all sympathetic towards Gaza. But if you ask them, like, okay, would you now create a resistance movement to fuck with them? It's like, no, I'm not crazy.
Right.
Only a revolutionary government like that can come up with that calculus. This is beyond us. And that, I think, is a major problem for every other country on earth. It gives Shia Muslims and, maybe certain communities in the Arab world or even overseas like this feeling like, oh, Shia Islam has arrived. We formed a political Islamic movement. It's like, yeah, but for everyone else, we're petrified of this.
Right. But some people would see it as like, they're like freedom fighters and they're like, or something.
Freedom fighters is fine, but you got to keep it within your borders. It can't be like this transnational idea. And you can't, like, as much as you might care about populations further away from your country, you need to also make sure that you don't, like, create a country that is just dedicated to this and creating hostility in the region.
Yeah, right.
No one likes what Israel is doing, but, like, this is not the way that you can achieve. And also, look at what it has done. You're in this situation where essentially Iran has now two options. Either you go full hard against the U.S., wait for them to, come in and launch a guerrilla movement, which is a sacrifice that maybe you win out of it, but it's a sacrifice that cannot be told how big a sacrifice that is for your country. Because what you're saying is like, okay, our country is now at war. All our economic progress, everything that we were thinking of, gone for the next decade.
Yeah.
Millions of us are going to die.
Jesus.
It's a huge sacrifice. So you've got that option, or you completely kowtow to Trump, which is that you change the regime.
Yeah.
You kind of
screwed either
brought
way.
You're screwed either way. And this wasn't necessary.
Yeah. Do you think it was fun on New Year's Eve in Iran?
Nah, dude. They're going through some serious problems.
So it was bad on New Year's Eve. There weren't fireworks. There was different kinds of fireworks.
Yeah, I think things are... Man, again, I don't know exactly what's happening on ground, but I'd imagine things are a bit hectic.
Yeah.
And honestly, things are hectic for them. There's a great possibility that they're going to go through one of those episodes again that they went through with Israel and the U.S.
It's crazy. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I've also, just to say, because, the way that we talk about, the only, like, hard lefty stuff that I watch is Democracy Now! I still watch it, And I take it with a grain of salt because sometimes it is a little bit, like, I've heard whatever her name is, Amy, whatever her name is, like, she's described...
Amy Winehouse.
She's described certain things as, like, extreme far right, and I'm like, I don't think that that's accurate in certain... But whatever, I take it with a grain of salt. But, they're still reporting on Gaza and stuff, and I think, like, I don't know, like 30 or 40 more people have died since in the new year, because now they're getting hit with floods. Their tents are, like, they're flooding. And it's like... Is Israel? It seems like that's died down a bit, but is like as a ceasefire, I think they've also split the West Bank in half. They've like annexed half of it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, is Israel still being held to account by, I don't know, like whingy greenies or whatever?
Yeah, but it's not working.
So it's just saying business as usual
in Israel.
No, not in Israel. In Gaza, like business as usual. Like
I mean, look, okay.
What the hell is happening there?
Business as usual in the sense that there's people that die every day, but not business in the sense as usual when thousands of people were dying, Yeah. There's, like, again, levels.
What is their plan?
So Gaza has no agency in this. People of Gaza have no agency.
Right.
So currently, Trump has forced Netanyahu to have a tactical pause, and he's saying that he's going to bring in forces from all these Muslim countries to come into Gaza and essentially de-arm Gaza, Hamas, and also run as peacekeeping forces. Right. It's an unreasonable plan because every Muslim country doesn't want to necessarily do that, but is being forced by Trump to do it, so they're pretending they're going to be okay with it. Right. And to be fair to Israel knows that this isn't going to happen, but they're telling Trump, have your go. When you're exhausted yourself, then we're going to come back into Gaza and clean it ourselves.
What does that mean?
It means that Israeli army is going to come into Gaza and have a full-on occupation again.
Damn. In like a tent city, basically.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And obviously their long-term plan is to drive them out from there.
That's crazy. Because I don't know, I think that issue's taken a bit of a back seat, but then you hear the numbers and it's like people are still dying.
Yeah, people are definitely still dying. But again, when it's not nearly at the same rate during the peak offensive.
It would suck to be Palestinian living. Like, imagine the hell. How long has the war been? Years?
Well, from their perspective, a long time.
Like, dude, imagine honestly, if it was me, and same thing with the Croatian war, I'd just get the hell out of there.
A lot of them did.
Yeah? Yeah. Because, like, what? I mean, it's horrible. I mean, sometimes it's unfair, but, like, what the hell, dude? Like, what's the alternative? Like, live in a swamp now in tents and, like, that's crazy. Because I think they're still blocking aid, I think.
Well, they're controlling aid.
Is there still starvation and stuff?
No, I don't know the answer to that. Right. I don't want to pretend I do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, bro. Like, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that's crazy?
I mean, no, not really. What do you mean? Why is it crazy?
I don't know. I thought that like a ceasefire I thought that it would just be like, okay, like medical, like organizations aid in, starting to rebuild. Like after most wars, that's what happens.
Yeah, Israel, because the war isn't over.
That's what I mean. But like, it's not even.
I think from their perspective, war isn't over until they're all driven out.
Jesus Christ. Is it the most modern example of like whatever you want to call it, imperialism or something? Because there's other countries that are at war, but like like Azerbaijan is not driving out Armenians from Armenia. Well, I think they are, but like they're not actually. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're not really.
Well, Azerbaijan just won a war against Armenia.
Really?
So that's what
I thought they sort of just had a stalemate.
No, Armenia lost.
Really?
Yeah, the stalemate was not really. It was a recognition of where things are, and then Armenia just gave massive concessions.
Really? Yeah. So they lost land.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a very complicated history. They have already had population transfers before, but right now, all of the demands that Azerbaijan had, Armenia is just sort of accepted. Right,
okay. So I guess it is happening in other places.
Yes, but I suppose not to a similar scale.
No, that's what I mean. I guess that's what I'm saying. The scale.
Yeah, and also like not in this organized fashion. So you would have, in many instances, like Sudan is one of them, where you would have these sort of terrorists or local warlordism that might drive out, ethnically cleanse, let's say, Christian populations, or maybe Christians doing it to Muslim because they have their own issues over there. But again, it's not like a top-down, the government of Sudan has decided that this is going to be our strategy.
Right.
This is more like a third party, and the state is weak to be able to enforce these laws because they're afraid of these warlords themselves.
Right.
Israel is one example, which is like, first of all, it's supposed to be a liberal democracy, which puts it into a separate category from all of the others that are pursuing this kind of policy. But secondly, not only is this like a rogue force within Israel, for example, like, those West Bank settlements, you would have these like Jewish militias that would go and harass local Palestinian populations. Now, Israel tolerates it, but this is like an example of, like militias or communities within your society that are doing something that either the government is supporting or is unable to do it. But in Israel's case, this is like a top-down, like the government has decided to do this. And not only has the government decided, but every country, Western country in the world gives them like military and financial aid.
Right.
So it just takes that example into a whole different category, in my view.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and Africa's popping off too, right? Sudan. I don't know.
Actually, no. Africa is so big. Parts of it are popping off, but Africa is a success story. Africa is like... Not all of Africa, but a lot of Africa's like human development index is growing.
Really, the West
is better literacy in Africa.
Yeah, is Ghana West?
Yeah,
they're doing good.
It depends. Again, Africa is so huge.
Yeah,
parts of it are doing really well. Yeah. Certain parts, like sub-Saharan Africa, that were supposed to be, or when we were growing up as kids, it was the worst.
Like Ethiopia.
Yeah, there was no country on earth that you could say is doing worse off than sub-Saharan Africa. You could name a few countries now that are doing it. Like they're getting better. I mean, it's a very low base to start from. So again, there's a sweeping thing of like, Africa, a lot of Africa. Africa, I think, is the future. There's a reason why China and US are all like, it is a next big center of world economy.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And even Middle East, like the Arab uprising effed up a lot of the countries. Yeah. But then within Middle East, there are certain countries that are doing fine. Yeah. Like these UAEs
Dubai.
And all of these countries have had a newfound resurgence. Yeah. Like they're really competing at like, with all the criticisms that you may have of how they got there, but they are doing pretty well. Stable societies, even human development, like really good education, really good healthcare, peace and stability. Like these are metrics that at the end of the day matter, right? Yeah. This is what you want. You want security, you want healthcare, you want good education. Yeah. Relative amount of freedom, you know? Yeah. So these countries have them. Yeah. But obviously the Levant areas of Syria, Iraq are not. But even Iraq is sort of on the mend again. Right. So there's a distorted view. Some places are doing... What's the biggest success story of the world is Southeast Asia. Yeah. All of these countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, that were a few decades ago were basket cases of the world. Yeah. They're killing it.
Vietnam's
absolutely killing it.
Vietnam's killing it. Yeah,
their economies are now in the trillions collectively.
Vietnam, they are killing it.
Obviously, East Asia, which Korea, China, all of these places used to be in abject poverty, are now supposed to be the next big power center of the world. Yeah.
So, although there are, I mean, that's another thing, but all I see is videos of how South Korea and Japan are plummeting and all that. But
yeah, but they're still like advanced societies.
Dude, that's the future.
They used to eat rats, dude, because they couldn't eat anything else. That wasn't that long ago.
Now it's like a techno future. Like there's like, so that is incredible.
And yes, they have their issues. Like I think Japan and Korea.
They don't have
Korea
kids.
in particular, dude.
I don't know what that's
issue is.
I don't know what that's about.
Screwing them.
I think standard of living they can't afford to.
No, it's just what happens in a highly urbanized society. Right. The only reason why we're not going through Australia, US are not going through it is because of immigration, which is again an inconvenient fact that people don't recognize. Wow. Like the reasons why the economy indicators of the US and Australia are better than Korea and Japan is because of the inflow of immigration.
Right. That stabilizes it.
Apparently it destabilizes from different points of view because but yes, that is an indicator that very is conveniently ignored.
That is interesting. That is an interesting point.
And so for a country
because that adds a workforce, right?
Yeah. But there are two views to this. Some people spell this as like a doomsday scenario. For example, if you look at Korea's indicators, oh man, this is a doomsday scenario where like by the year 2050 they're going to be more 65 plus than there are like 30s or which means like for every one person working there'll be 2 to 3 people dependent on them. No kids, and they predict by the year 2080 this society will collapse. I mean, just based on the metrics. However, like, people said that back in the day that we're going to overpopulate, and that didn't happen. Yeah. They were going to say, like, most of us are going to die in famines because the world can't, sustain 8 billion people, 9 billion people. but we have more food than ever, actually.
Yeah.
So you never know how technological progress, i.e., do you really need that many workers? By the year 2080, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But currently, they're stressing out. Korea recently made hair male pattern baldness surgery on their Medicare because they just want men to get laid.
Well, that's stopping him.
They're like, for the prime minister said,
I think
for some men, this is a matter of life and death.
I don't know if that's going to swing it, but fair.
Okay. What else are we?
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, we're supposed to talk about this as well. There's the Federal Reserve chairman.
Oh yeah.
In the U.S.
Yeah.
Trump administration has launched criminal investigation against him.
Whoa.
Which has actually but has driven down stocks in the dollar.
Shit.
Which is interesting. So Federal Reserve is the same.
Independent.
It's supposed to be independent. And the idea of a federal bank or RBA is the reason why they're so militantly independent is that they're supposed to set the interest rate based on what the conditions of
that's how economic works.
Are, right?
Yeah.
But Trump wants the Federal Reserve under his control because he wants them to lower the interest rate.
Yeah.
And the Federal Reserve was saying we can't do that.
That's not how it works.
Because if inflation is high, then we're going to have to go up. Otherwise, you're going to screw up the economy.
Yeah. Because how does that work? Because inflation's high is when you want people to spend less, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when inflation is high, the economy is too hot.
Yeah.
And you need to, because otherwise the cost of living will keep growing.
Right.
So what you do is you actually reduce investment. So you increase the interest rate. So people that were going to borrow money to invest decide not to.
Yeah.
And that is supposed to hold rein in the inflation rate.
Right.
So that's why independent reserve banks are supposed to make this decision, because every government has an incentive to bring down the interest rate, right? Because they want to get reelected. They want people to love them.
Yeah.
And so Trump wants to do the same thing, but Federal Reserve Chairman said, I'm not going to do that. And his term was expiring in 2028 or something.
Shit.
And Trump was saying, okay, fine, but retire. In a year's time, just resign. I'm going to put in my own guy who's going to listen to me. And he said, I'm not going to do that. So Trump launched a criminal investigation against him.
That's crazy.
Which is why the dollar went down, because this is a scary thing for the capitalists. Because now they're looking at Federal Reserve as not independent.
Oh my God. That's
bad. That's
crazy.
Yeah.
Has a president ever done that before?
Oh, every president has attempted. No, okay. In recent history in the U.S., presidents have tried not to do this. But this is one of those things that every head of state wishes they can do. So Erdogan's Turkey, he did that.
Right.
And screwed over the economy.
Did he?
Yeah. Because it's one of those things that every executive is annoyed by. It's why is he undermining me?
Yeah.
So they all want to do it.
They all want to do it, but it's I definitely do not understand. I'm no professor in economics by a long shot, but it's obviously a bad thing. It's it's a bad thing. It's short-term thinking. It's I want to lower inflation. People will be happy. It's but then cost of living will rise, right?
It creates way more issues than it solves issues.
What's the worst thing that happens? Recession?
Okay, this is the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is that globally, all of the investors that are buying American bonds, who have bought these bonds, so these are IOUs by the U.S. government, and they get interest on it.
Oh.
If they start to feel that the U.S. government is doing this because they're unable to pay their debts, then they might start withdrawing money from the U.S. Treasury, which will drive up the interest rate that the U.S. government has to pay to people.
Right.
So because there's less confidence in the bond market, everyone else that's still in there will get a higher interest rate. So the U.S. government will have to rack up even more debt. So their debt levels are going to rise, and they won't be able to service those debts.
Right.
Which means that technically that's a default situation.
Oh, governments can do that, eh?
Yeah.
Governments can default.
What? Yeah, governments can default. I'm not saying America will default, but I'm saying that is the worst case scenario.
Right. I don't. Yeah, economics is such a weird thing to me because it's just like it sounds dumb, but to me it's just all these made up rules, and it's like, can't the game be made better for everyone or something? I don't know. It just seems dumb to me. It's like, but I suppose everyone's playing by those rules, right? So it's like we're all playing by these rules, so that's the only way. If there's no rules, I think the rules could be better. I don't know if.
Well, I mean, the rule was that it's an independent body. You don't mess with it.
Yeah.
Trump's subverting rules left, right, and center.
He is, but I'm saying like, I just think the whole thing of debt and borrowing is like it's not a good thing.
Yeah. In a traditional sense,
like I understand,
yes,
if you
but
want
it also like
I understand,
can be a good thing.
I understand it's risky. Like I understand it's like, if you want to start a business, you need to borrow money together, and then eventually you can make money, but it helps the economy, right? But like, I don't know, maybe there should be some rule that's like you can't borrow money or something.
Well, the rule is that you can't borrow money if you can't pay for it.
Yeah, but that doesn't. But the 2008 financial crisis, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that like, applies to governments as well.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. If they're subverting that and they're like, that's not good. Like, what happens when a government goes bankrupt? All services stop, and
it happens to like so it happened recently in Sri Lanka.
What happened?
They defaulted.
Yeah.
So once you default, then essentially you go through like there's a trigger response. Your entire economy freezes.
Yeah.
And then all of the debtors that you owe are now going to go through like a restructuring program for your loan.
Oh my God.
So you get like some wiggle room, but then you have to pay more.
Is that what happened to?
It cripples your growth.
Is that what happened to Sri Lanka?
Yeah, it happens to.
So is Sri Lanka like the poorest country in the world now?
No, but like one of the drawbacks was that they contracted by like some 10-20% of their economy, which is a big amount.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's the sort of sacrifice you have to make. But sometimes I feel, not for America, because America is too powerful and strong, but like for normal countries, when it comes to like that sort of a position, I don't even think defaulting is the worst case scenario.
Right.
Because defaulting can make your debt sustainable in the long run.
Right.
It's almost worse when you get like little reprieves to pay off, but you're in perpetual crisis.
Is that what Greece was like?
Yeah, Greece was like that. It just, in the long run, it's almost better to like, defaulting is bad, dude, because defaulting means like you can't import stuff and like you're going to have bread queues and there's a lot of misery that comes with it. So it's not ideal scenario. But when you're like one of those like basket cases that constantly, like Argentina, Pakistan, or Sri Lanka, that constantly keep going to IMF and they're always on the verge of default, sometimes I almost feel default is better because you go through like this one intense pain, but then there's an understanding that you need to restructure the economy.
Right.
Yeah. But America's not going to go through, like, they're not going to go through that. They're going to fucking blow up the world before they default.
But how do we, like, take the power away from the banks, man?
What do you mean take the power away from the banks? I don't know. It's just power has sort of moved away from the banks, to be honest.
To what?
To, like, AI now. And military AI. That's the new overlords.
Are you serious?
These, like, nerds making robot submarines.
Really? Yeah. And that's... like where all the money is.
Yeah, right now. At least all the Western money is going into that.
Huh. I don't know. I'm too. Look, I have to just read about economics because it's like it seems like a bit of a insane system. Just all this endless debt, and it's just this constant. It's like a complete like Dante's Inferno of insanity. It's like I don't know. It seems I'm too dumb to understand it, but maybe one day I'll understand it. Like, can't countries just print more money or something? I don't know. I don't understand it.
They can. That's what U.S. is doing.
Just print more money.
But only U.S. can successfully do that, because which it is doing successfully.
Dominating.
Because it has the world reserve currency. So whenever U.S. produces a dollar, not only is that dollar useful in the U.S., but like every other currency in the world is pegged. Yeah. But if you do that, if we started doing that in Australia, we go through some problem where like we just print money, like what you were buying for $5 is going to cost $10.
Right.
And then if you print more money, then it's going to cost $15. So it actually just creates more problem.
Yeah,
but the U.S. can do it because they've, world currency, biggest military power.
It's a whole thing. I have to read about it because it just seems kind of crazy to me, the system. But I don't know. I guess I guess.
But that is why, like, that's why, you know how gold prices are going insane?
Are they?
Yeah. So every time there's the world economy goes
they
through
go
all
in,
these
they go
processes,
into gold.
They go straight
because it's sustainable.
That is actually one of the biggest indicators of the capitalist faith in the global economy at the moment.
Yeah, so that's bad.
So that means they don't have a lot of faith.
Jesus. So the stock market's not good.
I mean, clearly the stock market is going bonanza because of the AI boom.
Yeah.
But everyone's hedging their bets with, that's why they're buying gold.
Yeah, gold. Wow.
Just such a, like, you know, end of the world kind of investment.
That's crazy. Because what if, who's to say gold gets devalued?
Well, gold doesn't get devalued because it remains the world currency if US dollar wasn't there, you know?
Yeah, but it's so strange, dude. Because gold is like I mean, money's the same. It's gold is, it's like it only holds the value people put on it. And it's just a material, it's like a mineral, right?
But it's rare, which is why it doesn't have the option of like, well, we're running out of gold. How about we print more gold?
Yeah.
That's essentially the reason why it holds its value. Scarcity.
It's just
so the only way you can get more gold into the market is not because someone like Donald Trump decides that he wants to print it, but you have to go and mine for it.
Yeah, but that's so crazy. It just comes from the ground.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre.
Actually, Lenin had a famous saying when he was like before the revolution.
Yeah.
And he was like talking about this like worker society where like everything on someone asked him, what's going to be the purpose of gold in your economy? And he said, I guess we can use it for bathroom taps.
Because he was saying it'll be so useless.
Yeah.
Dude, what the hell? I mean, I guess he was bummed when communism fell. He was dead already,
he was
I guess.
dead.
I know, but like...
He kind of had like very quickly he went...
Yeah. And how did Stalin die?
Stroke.
So he was just chilling. He was also like...
He was in his office. He had a massive brain hemorrhage.
Oh my God.
His assistant, who supposedly had a big ass, which becomes important, discovered him because he was always having sex with her.
Oh, right.
And we also found out he liked him thick. He liked him fat, dude, not thick. Stalin was...
He wasn't a bad-looking guy.
Yeah, but he was a... Dude, young Stalin is hot
Yeah. I think I've seen that.
But he was a chubby chaser.
That's mad. I'll still never forget, my dad had a book. You know, your parents have books growing up, and there was one history book, and it was a photo of Hitler and Stalin on the like spine of the book, and they looked so menacing. And I was so young, like I was probably like a kid, and I just remember looking at those, and I was like, the black and white way you see the world. I'm like, those are bad men. They're very evil. But that's all I understood. I don't know why. I pretty much still don't.
Hitler and Stalin.
I mean, Hitler I do. I mean, Stalin I do as well. But like, that stuff fascinates me. I wish I did modern history. If it was for my dad, I could have.
Stalin has found this newfound respect amongst like
right-wing people. Yeah.
Neo-Nazis, because they look at him as like, well, he had the guts to do what he wanted to.
Yeah.
Which is kind of true.
Yeah,
but it's like fucked.
It's
taking inspiration from like.
I mean,
Stalin.
It's like he was famous for saying, one death's a tragedy and millions a statistic or something.
Yeah, he's attributed to it, but I don't know if he actually said it or not.
Yeah,
but it is attributed to him.
Yeah, I don't. It's funny as I get older. I thought that the world would become better and simpler, and it's only become more complicated and more fucked.
But what is true, and we know this from declassified documents,
he liked him thick.
No, very important note. But he used to like criticize all of these other communists that wouldn't go through with like his most insane hardcore ideology, and he would justify by saying is like, because the interesting thing was that after the communist revolution, everyone was communist, but there were many communists that were saying like, look, we can't destroy the free market.
Yeah.
Like communism is an evolutionary process. We'll get to that, but you can't nuke your entire economy.
Yeah.
And Stalin's point of view, which is why people like Fuentes like him, it was like, you don't have the guts to do it. First of all, tell me, do you believe that this is what needs to be done? And they were all like, yes. Then do it, you pussies.
Right.
You're not going to do it. I'm going to do it. Whoever comes in my way, they can go as well.
And that's why a lot of people died, right?
Yeah.
What exactly did he do? He was like, I want to make the farmers go to the circus or something.
Yeah, so
what?
The communist revolution in Russia was an urban revolution.
Yeah. So it was like move to the cities.
So it has some parallels to Iran. But like it was an urban revolution. So the urban population in the cities were all for it. But the farmers, they were still producing whatever they were based on what the market was asking them to. And so initially even Lenin was like, dude, you don't want to mess with the farmers.
Yeah.
Like just let them do what they're doing.
Yeah. Because
it'll be impossible to get them towards our version of communism. They'll eventually get to it. But when Stalin came, he was like, this is an unfinished agenda. We have to do it. Jesus. So he essentially nuked the farming economy. And he said that if you were producing, let's say, wheat or you were producing whatever based on what markets you have found, he was like, you're all going to make chairs now. Or like this group is going to make chairs. This group is going to create whatever iron. This group is going to create wheat. He was coming up with these top-down things. And what he wanted to do was like essentially break the free market.
Yeah, right.
Which was and now we know was a terrible strategy.
Right.
Like, created huge famines and but he was successful.
Really?
In fully controlling the rural economy.
Yeah, but so why did it fail?
Because Stalin or a top-down approach towards these decisions is a terrible idea.
Right.
Like individual farmers know what needs to be produced for maximum profit for them. But the reason why it's producing maximum profit is because those are the most required things. So if like someone else from the top down decides how it's going to work, they'll never be able to meet everyone's needs.
Do you think ultimately he realized that he was wrong?
No, I don't think he ever realized.
Right.
I think he was probably thinking that this is just an evolutionary phase. Like, yes, it creates, I think in his head he was thinking like, okay, yes, it did kill a lot of people, but first of all, he was probably justifying in his head by saying like, not all of it was because of my things, maybe it was some other issue. And then he would also maybe was thinking this was the necessary thing to do.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Who succeeded him?
Gorbachev. No, not Gorbachev, Khrushchev.
And what was his deal?
He was way more relaxed, decided to de-Stalinize. He initially was pro-US, like as in he wanted to have there was some dude who was some farmer in the US.
Yeah.
Kentucky or someone who became like friends with him because he once came on a delegation to Russia. And so he used to say, that guy is very nice. I like the US. And then when he went on like this high profile tour of the US, which was supposed to be a friendship tour. So there was like expectation now Stalin is dead, maybe things are going to ease up. And I think from the Russian point of view, they were trying to achieve that, but his trip was a failure.
Right.
They hated each other. And then once he came back from that trip, then again, the Cold War like intensified.
Right. I've got to read that history. It's crazy. Like it's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Because Vietnam's still communist, right? But they're not really.
No, they've sort of followed the Korean model, which is
that's not
export
communist.
driven. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Maybe that's the best system. Communism in name only. And like, you know, good education, good healthcare, but everything else is basically the same. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe?
I think it depends. Everyone has every society is different.
Yeah.
Societies that are like homogenous, you have to take so many things into account.
Yeah.
Like, you know, those East Asian societies, I think their natural is authoritarianism. Because that's what has always happened. Yeah. Like when people say, Russia is not a democracy, like when was it a democracy? Can you give me like one example of like in history when it was a democracy? So why are we expecting that they're going to become a democracy all of a sudden?
Yeah. But Vietnam is a democracy, isn't it? It's one state, one party.
It's not. No, it's not a democracy.
Right.
You could argue that Japan and Korea are, but even they are like kind of like hardcore authoritarian democracies.
Yeah.
But I don't think, like, for example, you could replicate then in a country like India that has like 500 languages, 20 different regions.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's going to be not a winning strategy over there.
But Vietnam seems to be doing better than even Japan in terms of its growth.
Yeah, because Japan is an advanced economy.
Yeah.
that has experienced their growth surge. Vietnam started from a lower base, so it's easier to like.
Because everyone peaks, right?
Yeah, but Vietnam has like a long way to go.
Yeah.
Vietnam is much poorer compared to like Korea and Japan.
I think the problem with Japan is that like they're like militantly they're like more right-wing conservative than America.
Japan is more right-wing
conservative than America. So it's like in Japan it's like you should only work, don't sleep ever, and it's like, dude, I don't know. I think that's why your people are so like fucked up now and depressed. And seriously, it's like beautiful people, and like they do love their work. Like I've never seen Starbucks employees so passionate, or a person that accesses a lift, like a lift attendee, is like so passionate. But well, like
that job still exists, a lift attendee
in Japan. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, that's a thing.
I see that in movies.
That's a thing. Japan's weird, dude. They still use fax machines. In some ways, they're very advanced, but in some ways, they're very like retro, very retro.
They're still doing abacus for calculations.
Like, I would be surprised if a couple of offices have abacuses. You know, I don't know. I don't know what the perfect system is. Is it just like, again?
I don't think there is a perfect system.
But is it just, again, this fucking Sweden shit? Everyone's always like, Scandinavia, tax oil companies, and at the end.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a good idea.
That's if you have oil.
If you have some kind of like a mineral-rich economy, you have to tax it.
Not like we didn't do that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we did it to some extent, but not nearly as much as we should have.
Yeah.
That's why like the Norwegian model is actually a lot better than us.
Yeah. So that's probably the best.
Yeah, for those conditions, yes.
Yeah. Dude, you should write a thesis. Write a book called not How the World Works, something like How to Have a Sick Country, and then have your rules, your tenets. Can you do that?
No, because it varies for different countries.
Yeah, but have each individual be like, here are the variables.
Oh, well, I wouldn't even know for most of the countries.
No. Generalize. Go, okay, if you have minerals, this is your option. If you have no minerals, this is your option. If
there
you're
are
homogenous.
certain cardinal rules that every country should follow. For example, you should pursue a diversified economy as opposed to a single. You're supposed to have different sectors in the economy. You're supposed to try and indigenize your technology as much. These apply for most countries, but I think most people know that. It's more difficult of how to do it.
Yeah, true. Yeah. All right, write a book on how to do it.
I don't know.
That's
I could
hard.
Possibly do it for Pakistan.
Really?
Yeah, but not any other country.
You picked like the hardest one, dude.
Yeah, but like I've spent most of my time studying.
True. That would be interesting. Maybe you could turn the country around. Just send them.
No, I can't.
Why? Just send them the book and then be like, look, you got nothing else to lose. Read this. And they might be like, all right, we're going to do this.
Yeah, because it's not dependent on information. It's dependent on like
execution. Politics, right?
Yeah, politics, general.
Is Imran Khan still in prison?
Yeah.
Give it to him. Give it to him.
It's all right.
Will he do it? Could he do it? Is he going to be in prison for life?
Not for life, but he's going to be there for the time being, I think. All right.
Is that crazy.
It? Do we have anything else we want to talk about?
What else?
I think we're over time anyway.
Yeah, probably good.
Thank you all for joining us. We will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.